why am I doing this? Why am I bringing all the upset that is going to be manifested at clark.com/clarkstinks? But I need to. Social Security is something that if you have to make a decision for yourself, or you have parents that are approaching age 62, Social Security can be taken as young as 62 or as late as age 70. And what's considered to be full retirement age is 66 something. Anyway, and I've for years talked about why for most people, the right answer, and there can be exceptions, but overwhelmingly for most people, the right age to take Social Security is when you turn 70. And every time I say that, I get a big pushback. But right now, because of the waves of publicity about Social Security, the trust fund running out of money 10 years from now in 2033, it has led people to feel like, I better get it while I can, better get what I can, because Social Security is going to be broke in 10 years and nobody's going to get any money. Okay. So yes, the political parties are completely dysfunctional in this country. The inability for them to have a reasonable conversation across the aisle drives me batty. I don't get it. It's like this whole tribal thing drives me nuts. And so problems we need to address in the country are being ignored into a pile of rhetoric. The problems of Social Security are not major problems to fix, particularly if we fix them now or in the next year or two. Medicare is a different issue. Medicare has actually much more serious financial issues. Different conversation, different day. Social Security, even if the dire predictions, the Congress continues to be ridiculous, does nothing about it, and just drives us off a cliff. In 2033, what happens is Social Security checks don't stop. The amount of money that you would receive would be based on pay-as-you-go at that point. The trust fund would be out of money to deal with shortfalls month after month with an aging population and fewer workers to support each retiree with an aging population. So the problem's there. But does it in any way change my answer about age 70? It does not. Because again, Social Security is not going to stop paying, even if Congress does the irresponsible thing, buries its head in the sand and does nothing. And by the way, it's your individual member of Congress who's at fault, not 435 members of the House, not 100 members of the Senate. It is your individual representative or senator who's at fault, each of them individually, and then collectively for failure to address a problem that's easily addressed. It's just the way you address it is we got to eat more broccoli, not have more ice cream and candy. Politicians don't like talking about eating broccoli. They only like to talk about ice cream and candy. So let's say the worst does happen. Yes, benefits would be reduced at that point. There'd be quite an uproar. And then after the fact, the problem would be dealt with. But even if benefits suddenly are reduced, people's Social Security checks would be reduced, which would be real hardship, but they're not going away at all. And the reduction would not be to zero. Best estimates, it would be something like 80 cents on the dollar. So then we go back to this thing, people saying, hey, so I want to get 100 cents on the dollar for as long as I can. Let's say you've got a relative who's turning 62 next month. They're like, hey, I was going to wait till 66 or 70, but I want to start getting a check now, even though it's much smaller. I believe that it will be dealt with by a future Congress. The later we wait, the more difficult it is to fix, but it'll be fixed. But because the solutions, I can tell you, as a non-political animal, I could sit down and come up with a workable plan in a couple of days. And many other people could. People much wiser than me could come up with a plan in a couple of hours. It's just getting people to choose the broccoli. So it's not a hard one to fix. But even if it's not fixed, I'm telling you still, I would wait. The reason why is the greatest risk for all of us is something that's actually good, longevity. The odds, I shared with you recently, the chances that we will live to 90 or 95 or 100 are much higher than we realize if we've made it into our 60s. And the check you get from the base, and then from that base, cost of living adjustments over the years is so much higher if you wait. It deals with the longevity risk. And if you're married, it may also very heavily affect your spouse and the benefit they would receive after you pass away if they outlive you. So this is something that, regardless of the change in circumstance with is Congress going to do something or not, my answer has not changed. For most of us, the default is to wait as long as possible, potentially till age 70. And that has not changed. And you do the modeling, and you'll see that for your own situation, the answer may be different. There's software I've talked about for this, but there are now multiple products, Krista. You've got what's available from AARP for free. You've got Maximize My Social Security. Now there's several competitors to Maximize My Social Security. Maximize My Social Security, I think it's $40 now, that'll run absolute analysis for your exact situation. So the answer you get is exact to the penny what your best answer would be in this situation. Please don't react to the headlines and feel like I'm going to get it while the getting's good at 62 or 63 or whatever, when for your long-term financial health, waiting as late as possible is the right answer. And yes, I know if I croak on the day I turn 70,
God forbid.
well, if I do, and I wait through those 8 years to take Social Security, and people will say, man, he was an idiot. He told us all through the years. Like, I'm going to care if I'm dead? I'm not going to care. I'm not going to be worrying about the money I could have had if I'm dead. What I'll be worrying about is I'm dead or dying, right?
All right.
That topic, deadly topics always rattle you, don't
all right,
they?
well,
Why do they rattle you?
No, let's move on.